Welcome back to Second and Short. It is Friday, April 19th, 2024. As we're speaking right now, we are 1 week and 3 hours away from the NFL Draft Special, the second annual Second and Short Draft Night Special with me, Luke, who is right here to my left, Colin, and Nathan behind the camera. We're going to have a couple of friends call in throughout the show, so we've got so much going on. Every pick, every trade, all the news, every update right here live on the Second and Short YouTube. So if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Otherwise, be ready for that live stream. It's going to be a fun time. We're just going to be in here watching the draft. Last year, 4.5 hours. This year, probably going another 4.5 hours if I had to guess. So it's going to be a hell of a time. So make sure you mark your calendars for 8 p.m. on April 25th. Which is next Thursday. Luke, how are you doing? Are you ready for the draft?
I am very, very excited for the draft. Every year I get to wait for the Steelers to give me a birthday present, and hopefully it's good this year. I've been blessed the past couple. Hopefully it's good this time.
Awesome. Well, if you guys haven't seen, on Wednesday, I uploaded my updated mock draft. Today, we're going to be talking about Luke's mock draft, his first and only of the year. So we're going to go through that, kind of just have a little bit of a conversation. And then, of course, MLB Recap today, Premier League weekend. Kind of a boring weekend in the Prem, but it's also like strung out from like Saturday to Thursday are the matches. It's weird. The UCL Quarter Finals wrapped up, and it was eventful. I think our ball knowledge is in question after how those games went. And then questions time, of course, to round it out. Nathan got those questions in just in the nick of time. Yeah, I'm super excited. Like I said, once we're done here, make sure you go over and watch the updated mock draft video on the YouTube. Otherwise, Luke, you ready to get into your mock draft?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this because I got some hot takes in here.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hit the ground running then. I'm very excited to hear what you've got, so let's do it.
Yeah, I think the Chicago Bears at number one. It definitely all signs are pointing towards Caleb Williams. Personally, I don't know if he is the best quarterback in this draft. I'm kind of leaning towards no, but in terms of just being right for this pick, I think it's going to be Caleb Williams to the Chicago Bears. I mean,
Yeah.
I was doing some research on him last night. In 2022, 42 touchdowns and 5 interceptions is ridiculous. Ridiculous. And then last season was 30 touchdowns and once again 5 interceptions. He's going to be great, I think. Like I said, don't know if he's the best, but he's going to be fantastic. In 2023, the other note I have about him is he did not beat a single ranked team.
Yeah. I think that also I don't think that's all his fault. They had a horrendous defense.
Yeah, it's definitely not, but it's something worth noting.
It is.
I think.
I agree.
So I want to move on to number 2, though.
Yeah.
I think the Commanders would be stupid not to go Jaden Daniels here, so that's who I have, the quarterback out of LSU. What is there to say about this guy?
He's insane.
Heisman, led all QBs with a school record over 1,000 rushing yards, second in passing touchdowns with 40, and he only had 4 interceptions too, which is just ridiculous. Only player in FBS history with 12,000 passing yards and 3,000 rushing yards. He was the team captain, and he had a fantastic combine. I have the Commanders taking Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU, at number 2.
Yeah, I love that take. I kind of talked about this in my video, but him not working out at the combine kind of surprised, or at least not measuring at the combine kind of surprised me, because I think he had something to prove over Drake May. But
yeah,
it seems like through interviews and definitely at his pro day that he easily took the number 2 spot.
Yeah, definitely. I like that point as well. At number 3, with the New England Patriots, there were a lot of mock drafts that had J.J. McCarthy going here. I am probably the biggest, the most flamboyant, outgoing J.J. McCarthy hater there is.
Yeah.
Not buying into him whatsoever. Am I preying on his downfall? No, because I want everybody to do well. But do I think he should be going top 5, top 3? Absolutely not. He should be getting picked with Bo Nix, in my opinion.
I agree.
I am really, really not high on JJ McCarthy at all, and I don't see what people see in him.
I agree. I put him at 5 in my new one.
Okay.
But that was primarily because of necessity. It's like there are teams that genuinely need to pick a quarterback, and the top 3 are going to be off the board, and I do think he's quarterback 4. This isn't a great quarterback class. I think it's deep. I think there's the potential for some of the guys in the later rounds to be good, but I don't love Bo Nix. I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Penix, at least when you're looking future-wise.
That's my guy.
I love Penix. I like him as a player. If I was a GM trying to build a team for the future, having a quarterback that starts off the season at 23, 24 years old, not very enticing, considering one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year was one of the youngest players in the NFL in CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
So
it's
tough to say, but no, I like Drake May at 3. I have him being taken at 3, but I have the Vikings trading up for him.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Well, anyway, I also have Drake May going at 3, but to the New England Patriots. This guy, 2022 ACC Player of the Year. Also in that year, he won the Sean Alexander Award, which is the top freshman in the nation.
Yeah, he was a killer.
2023 underwhelming compared to 2022 season, but that may have not been his.
I think a big part of that to me was losing weapons.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yep. And decent combine grades. He didn't have a crazy combine, but he was all right in the combine. The Cardinals at 4, definitely going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. here. Look, Marvin Harrison might be the best wide receiver prospect like the NFL has ever seen.
He's up there.
This guy, he's crazy, and the Cardinals need to bring in weapons for Kyler Murray. First player in school history to have 2 1,000-yard seasons, which is ridiculous coming from Ohio State. I feel like they always have talent.
I think the problem is it's not a lot of those guys break into the lineup early enough in their college career. A lot of the guys are good. They get playing time sophomore year, but they're not the guy. Marvin Harrison Jr. was the guy sophomore year.
Yeah.
Plays his junior year, still the guy. So it's like it made it a little easier on him.
For sure. But to continue with him, he won the Fred Blitnikoff winner, or he was the Fred Blitnikoff Award winner, which is best wide receiver in college football. Big Ten wide receiver of the year. He also has the Rose Bowl touchdown record. Whenever they came back against Utah a couple years ago, he has a record 3 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl. I'm really excited for this guy, and his dad was amazing. So I can't wait for him. Here is my first hot take. Ooh. This is where I think the Vikings trade up. I think they trade with the Chargers here.
Okay.
At number 5. I have the Vikings taking Michael Penix at number 5 here.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Penix, listen, he plays so well in the air raid, shotgun style offenses, and I think he would be the perfect fit for the Minnesota Vikings at number 5. And he played in a natty with a generational Washington team. Michael Penix was a part of, in my opinion, something truly special with that Washington team. And he was at the helm of it. Now, I know a lot of guys have, they're going to say what they want to say about Michael Penix. He's too old. He's had injury troubles. I think he's still a dog. And on top of that, I think he'd be the perfect fit for Minnesota to trade up for him at 5.
Okay, I like him playing for Minnesota. I just hate the pick at 5. I don't think you need to trade up to get Michael Penix here. That's the problem.
Maybe not.
You could if you really wanted to, you could take Michael Penix at 11.
Yeah, that is true.
That's what I think.
You probably could. But I don't know. That's my hot take. The Giants, all the mock drafts that I had them, that I looked at the Giants doing, at 6, it's all Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU. This guy's crazy. Literally an incredible combine. First team All-SEC. School record with 189 receptions there, and he was second in FBS with 1,500 yards, basically. He was electric.
Oh, yeah.
The Titans at 7. I have them taking Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. I think it's a good position for the Titans to go ahead and take probably the best offensive tackle in this draft. They need O-line help for Levis. They have their wide receiver talent in DeAndre Hopkins and a couple of other guys they've drafted that I don't think have been healthy enough to really, put together a full season.
Yeah.
Like Burks, Traylon Burks. They have their tight end and what's his name? The
Chigozie
Titans tight end.
McConkwo.
I think he could still have a good season, although
Yeah.
last season was underwhelming. So I think what I'm trying to say is they have their offensive weapons there.
For the
They
most
just got
part.
to unlock
Yeah.
how to use them. He was the finalist for the Outland Trophy, which is the top interior O-line and D-line award. And his father went first round in 1984 to the Chiefs and was a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Nice.
I thought that was interesting as
Good
well.
bloodline.
Number 8, your team, the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody that I've looked at and talked to has Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama. SEC Defensive Player of the Year, led the team with 14.5 TFLs, and he was tied in 8th in FBS with 10 sacks. So you're getting a decent guy there, but I could also see the edge out of UCLA going to the Falcons as well.
Whoa.
Even Jared Verse.
Yeah, Jared Verse makes a lot more sense. I think Leatu Latu early on in the process. I've talked about this phenomenon quite a bit where you turn from a college player to an NFL prospect, and it hurts a lot of guys. I think Leatu Latu is a victim of that, where as a college player, he's fantastic. When you turn into an NFL prospect, you see that the potential is not as much there for him, is what it seems like. So I think it would be hard for a team to reason with themselves to take him that early. I love his talent, and off the bat, he might be the best of the group. But 5 years down the road, I think a lot of guys are going to pass him up from this class because it's a fantastic class for edge rushers.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit pre-recording too. He does have way more impressive accolades, in my opinion, than any other edge in this draft.
Definitely.
It's just, like you said, looking to the future is definitely something that NFL teams are going to have to consider with him. But nonetheless, the Falcons, again, I have them taking Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama. And then at number 9, we have the Bears' second pick. They added Keenan Allen, but I think they're going to take Rome Odunze here, the wide receiver out of Washington. Wow. I mean, might as well just load up your offense with all these weapons. Because,
I just think the defense needs help. I had them taking Jared Verse in my mock draft, and it's because of the same thing we talked about when we graded their season. The defensive line, despite the fact that they added Jonathan Allen, still wasn't that good.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I think to kind of combat that point, the Bears have been working more on their defense than they have offense in recent years. For sure. And personally, I think the Chicago Bears are in a position where they can get more fun players instead of having to go D-line or another cornerback or another safety. I think they go big. I think they go with like a huge wide receiver here, and that's what I took with Rome Odunze.
Fair enough. He's a great player. I'm not knocking that at all.
Yeah, first team all Pac-12, led FBS, and he had the school record of like 1,640 yards. He was crazy with Washington. So number 10, I saw a lot of mock drafts with the Jets taking like an offensive lineman here. I'm going to go Brock Bowers for the Jets.
I like that pick. I didn't go with it, but I like it.
Yeah, I understand the whole idea of, wanting to give Aaron Rodgers more protection, especially since he's coming off of kind of a major injury. But I think the Jets, it's way too enticing to pass up on Brock Bowers here because Brock Bowers adds so much firepower to an offense that already has Garrett Wilson and now Mike Williams, and then they still have Alan Lazard and a couple of other veterans in that group as well. They could use a tight end like Brock Bowers, who has proven he can be multi-purpose. I mean, I'm on the side of I think Brock Bowers could be on his way to the best tight end ever.
Agreed. He's NFL, a generational talent.
Yeah, when you have tight ends that are able to run end arounds in their offense in college, you have a fucking freak of nature, and that's what Brock Bowers is. Agreed. And I think the Jets are going to take him. Aaron Rodgers would love Brock Bowers. I mean, that would just be unfair. I feel like in the NFL. Brock Bowers is just fucking crazy. So let's move on to number 11. This was my trade. So the Chargers now have this pick from Minnesota. I think they take CJ Latham, the tackle out of Alabama,
JC
first team
Latham.
All SEC. Yeah, JC.
Okay.
Sorry, first team All SEC. Probably the best tackle in the draft, if
I'm
not second
super
best.
surprised by that, I have to say. So I have JC Latham going at 14 to the Saints, and I've got 2 offensive tackles ahead of him.
Okay.
I've got Talise Fuaga ahead of him, and I have Olu Fashanu ahead of him. And Fashanu I actually have going to the Chargers at 11.
Okay. Yeah, those guys kind of slipped in my draft.
Fair enough.
Now we get to number 12. So, although I don't think JJ McCarthy is first round talent, the
Ooh.
Broncos would be stupid not to take him at 12 if he slips to them. Or they can take Michael Penix here because I know I'm reaching for Michael Penix in my mock draft, but I love Denver taking a quarterback, and it would probably either be Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy that they would go with at 12.
I like
Those
that
would be the two guys that I think would be left over. Yeah, JJ McCarthy, I mean, he has accolades. First team All Big Ten, finalist for the Johnny Unitas Award. He was the highest school completion percentage and the lowest interception percentage in Michigan history.
Wow.
So, I mean, he's got it going for him, but I can't see it going to the NFL.
True.
Translating to the NFL. So now we move on to the Las Vegas Raiders at 13. This is where I have them taking Mr. Troy. Go ahead.
Wait, sorry, who?
Last name, Grayson? Troy, the lineman out of Washington.
Oh, Fatanu.
Fatanu.
So
Yeah,
actually,
this
I
is
have
where
him later. I have him at 16.
Okay.
Going to Washington, or sorry, going to the Seahawks because they got the Washington OC. So I had him going to the Seahawks.
That's good knowledge there. Anyway, I mean, this guy, first all team Pac-12.
Yeah,
he's solid.
fantastic.
Either way, I saw a lot of mock drafts with the Raiders taking a cornerback, which I also could see here, but I think O-line is probably where they should go.
I have them taking Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. And really because it became a constant topic on our show between me and you that the Raiders have no secondary.
Yeah.
That was a constant talking point, and I was like, they have to address that, right?
Yeah, I definitely get that. And Terrion Arnold's a dog.
Yeah.
I have him going at 15, but we'll get there.
Okay.
The New Orleans Saints at 14. I have them taking Olu. Is it Fashanu?
Yeah.
The tackle out of Penn State, first team all AP player, Big Ten, or like I think he was all Big Ten as well.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman. He's a dog, and I feel like the Saints could use that kind of protection for Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara. Open up Chris Olave a little bit more. It just makes sense once again for the Saints to take an offensive lineman, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Indianapolis Colts at 15. This is where I have Terrion Arnold going. I think ever since they've gotten rid of Gilmore, they've kind of lacked a secondary. They do have Kenny Moore, but a lot of teams I feel like are going to try to have like 2 dogs at cornerback instead of just the one.
Definitely.
And I feel like if Terrion Arnold slips to the Colts, I feel like they should probably go with him. I mean, this guy, played at Alabama. First team AP, first all SEC, tied for 5th in pass deflections in FBS, and tied for 6th in interceptions in FBS. So, I mean, he's got it going for him. He looks like he's going to be great.
Yeah, so I still have the Colts going with a corner, but for me at this point, Terrion Arnold and Quinyon Mitchell are off the board. So I have them taking Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. But I like them to go with a corner, for sure.
Yeah, I had Nate Wiggins going much later, but I like that take. The Seattle Seahawks at 16. This is where I think your boy Jared Verse at FSU goes.
Love it.
They could go O-line here. I wouldn't be mad about that for Seattle, but I like D-line a little bit better. They need a sack monster in there.
Agreed.
I feel like their defense last year, there was a lot of hype around them with drafting Witherspoon, having Tariq Woolen in year 2, bringing back Bobby Wagner, and all of that just didn't deliver, like literally whatsoever. None of that delivered. I mean, they were all good players, but they didn't stop the points from coming in because boy, was there a lot of that in Seattle. So like I said, Jared Verse, Seattle at 16. All right, trade alert, Grayson.
Oh, I
Trade
love
alert.
it.
Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to keep their pick 17. They're going to give it to the Buffalo Bills, Grayson,
Love
because the
that.
Bills got rid of Stephon Diggs, and they want to be aggressive in getting another wide receiver, and his name is Brian Thomas Jr.
I absolutely
receiver
love
at
that
LSU.
so much, and I'm jealous that I didn't think of that.
Yeah, led the FBS in receiving touchdowns with 17.
Yeah,
That's
he
fucking
was a dog.
ridiculous. Yeah, he's a huge body, big target. And yeah, going back to my point, I just think the Bills, especially with having Josh Allen, like an elite quarterback, they're going to want to get aggressive to try to replace Diggs. They didn't in free agency.
Yeah.
And there were guys like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams that were there. I think they go a rookie here.
I
And I
love
think
that.
it's Brian Thomas Jr.
Love that.
So, all right. Saw one mock draft for pick 18, the Cincinnati Bengals. I saw one mock draft that had them taking Lad McConkey here. That is not the direction I went, but I just wanted to point that out. That was crazy. Shout out The Athletic for that mock draft.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Byron Murphy, D tackle out of
Like it.
Texas. I think the Bengals kind of lack interior defensive linemen. They got Hubbard
Yeah.
on the outside, and he's solid.
And
I think
Hendrickson.
they could go interior here. Yeah, and Hendrickson, that's right, on the other side. Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. He was, oh my God, I'm blanking. What do they call it? All team Big 12. Damn, I
Gotcha.
couldn't think of that. He scored 2 touchdowns offensively, 1 rushing and 1 receiving.
Nice.
That was interesting. Probably the best defensive tackle in the draft, and with that offensive scoring, he's probably a pretty damn athletic.
Yeah.
For his size.
I've actually got him going a little bit later, only because there was a couple of guys that you've already taken off the board available here. So I had the Bengals taking Brock Bowers right here.
I would absolutely hate it if he went to Cincinnati.
Yeah. And I like Byron Murphy. I've got him as the second best defensive tackle in the draft, and he drops to 27 to the Cardinals for me.
Okay. I don't mind that. 19, I have the Rams taking my guy Chop Robinson, edge out of Penn State.
Love it.
You lost Aaron Donald on that defensive line. Probably should think about replacing that guy with Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson's a dog. First team All Big Ten. Tied for first in his team with forced fumbles as well at Penn State. So that's a good stat to have there as a D lineman. And now we move to 20. My team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the first name I wrote down was Adonai Mitchell. But the more that I thought about it, and the more that I read about a little guy, or I guess I should say big guy, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon.
That is a great pick for the Steelers that I didn't even take into account.
This dude, the Steelers right now have Mason Cole. Jackson Powers Johnson, I don't even care what anybody says. I don't have to see him play a snap. He would be an upgrade to Mason Cole and probably what the Steelers should do.
It's a fantastic name as well.
Yeah, and I feel like with having Russell Wilson, I like the idea of veteran quarterback, rookie center.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I like how that sounds. So I actually have the Steelers going with him. First team AP, first team Pac-12. He also won the Remington Trophy, which is the nation's top center as well. So
he's great.
crazy.
I have him going a little bit later, and I actually have the Steelers taking Amarius Mims out of Georgia. I think they still need help at tackle. And I also kind of brought up a similar point about picking up Russ, because we kind of saw last season how much Russ's stats improved year over year when his team invested in the offensive line. So like the Broncos O-line that first season was abysmal. They go out and they spent a lot of money on like Mike McGlinchey and somebody else that I'm blanking on. They pick him up. His stats were leaps and bounds better. They obviously weren't amazing. They were much better. I think if the Steelers continue to invest in this offensive line, they'll see similar results.
Yeah, and I think with the Steelers, what made me want to jump on Adonai Mitchell, for one, he's a big body. The Steelers haven't had a massive wide receiver be successful for a long period of time. Literally, probably in my lifetime, I would say. I mean, we had Martavis Bryant, the 6'5" guy out of Clemson, who was fantastic, but he smoked weed and now he doesn't play in the league anymore. So, yeah, I love the Steelers taking a wide receiver at 20, especially since it's so loaded. On top of the fact, there is no way in hell I want George Pickens to be wide receiver one. I
Agreed.
can't. He absolutely cannot do it.
Yeah,
He's good enough, but I don't like the antics.
that's
The
fair.
antics kind of worry me, and I want wide receiver one to be a leader. So I think the Steelers could get another good wide receiver in the second round, though. I think we could find
Definitely.
a solid guy, which is what I hope we do. Anyway, moving on. So the Dolphins, I think they're going to go defensive tackle out of Illinois. That Jerzan Newton guy.
Yep, that's exact. I have the exact same pick.
Hey,
hell yeah,
on
man.
that one. That's nice.
Let's go.
First team AP, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, first team All Big Ten. This guy is a dog. What is it with Illinois and their NFL players recently? They've gotten some good talent.
It's
in the
grit.
draft.
That's the answer. Grit.
Grit. I like it. Philadelphia at 22. Let's see. They just recently lost an offensive lineman, did they not?
Jason Kelsey.
That's the guy that I couldn't think of. I think they go Amarius Mims here. I know he's not a center,
Like it.
but I like Philly players taking Georgia, and so do they. And I feel like it makes sense for them to still beef up their O-line.
My pick is actually flipped. So I have the Steelers taking Amarius Mims, and I have the Eagles taking Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah.
Good. He was hurt most of 2023. I really have no notes on this guy. I just know he's a dog. He's a great tackle. Yeah, he'll be fantastic for whoever he gets drafted to. And now we have the Chargers at pick 23. I like them taking Graham Barton, the offensive tackle out of Duke here. He was first team ACC.
Love that. I've got him at 26 going to the Bucks.
I like that too. I have the Cowboys taking Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma, the tackle. Nice. I like that.
In both my mock drafts, I actually had that one. That was one that I stuck with.
Yeah, and just my reasoning there for the Cowboys is it seems like since 2015, the Cowboys have had probably like a top 3 offensive line. But more recently, like post-COVID, you started seeing more injuries on guys like Tyron Taylor, Zach Martin, or not Tyron Taylor.
Tyron Smith.
Tyron Smith, damn, thank you. And guys like that, they've just gotten older. They've retired. And I feel like they bring in another guy here because it seems like they value their offensive line tremendously.
For sure.
So,
yeah, I like that pick a lot.
Yeah. Green Bay Packers at 25. Saw a lot of mock drafts of them going corner, which I like to help out Jair Alexander, but I think it would be more beneficial to take Tyler Nubin, safety out of Minnesota here.
Interesting.
Probably the Brian Branch of this draft, in my opinion, a.k.a. the best safety you can get. First team All-AP, set the school record with 13 picks in his time there, and he was second team All-AP in 2023.
Yeah. So I really like that pick. My only issue is that I don't think there's a safety that is round 1 graded, personally.
That's fair.
But I have them taking Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, and there's a lot of talk about him moving to safety. So
that's the white guy, right?
Yeah, white corner out of Iowa. It would be so perfect for him to go to the Packers. But whether they play him at corner or safety, I think he works out. And so I think that works well for the Packers because they need both.
Yeah, I like that. Moving on to 26, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is where I have Quinyon Mitchell going out of Toledo.
Okay, yeah.
I have a little hot take. I think this guy is probably the best cornerback in the draft. I think he's better than the guy.
He's my cornerback 1. I have him going ahead of Terry and Arnold, 12 to the Broncos.
I just think that people will value Bama over Toledo. I think it's as simple as that.
It
has nothing to do with skill, in my opinion. But yeah, this guy was second team All AP in 2023 and first team MAC.
Yeah,
I guess isn't too hard, but this guy's a dog.
The Mid-Atlantic Conference is not the, or what? No, it's not the Mid-Atlantic. I think it's the Middle American Conference. I don't know. It's the MAC. MACtion.
Yeah, MACtion.
All right, 27.
We got the Cardinals. I think they're going to go with Mr. Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback out of Alabama here.
Don't hate
with
that
their
at all.
second pick.
I've got them getting Byron Murphy, like we talked about. So I think either way, they got to go defense. Their first pick, they go offense. Second pick, you go defense for them. That's how I see it.
Yeah, for sure. Pick 28. This is the one that the Jaguars got from the Bills in my fantasy world that I live in. This is where I think Adonai Mitchell goes. Look, you traded with the Bills and you lost out on getting Ryan Thompson Jr. So you get the other good big wide receiver in this draft. Adonai Mitchell, I think, is also a 6'4" guy, same height as the other one.
Yeah.
Let me see my notes on him because I
think he's 6'3" or 4. But yeah. I love Eddie Mitchell, and surprisingly enough, I don't have that trade happening, but I have the Bills taking him at 28.
So that's interesting. Yeah. This guy, second team All Big 12, led the team with 11 receiving touchdowns. A.D. Mitchell he's fantastic. If he slips to the Steelers somehow in the second round, I would love that, but probably not going to happen. So the Lions at 29, look, they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think they bring in a cornerback here. They had no luck with Jeff Okudah, taking him so early in that draft way back when, but I think they go back to corner here. This is where I think Nate Wiggins goes, cornerback out of Clemson. Yeah, first team all ACC.
I'm surprised to see Kool-Aid come off the board before him.
Kind of thinking about it, I am too, and it's my mock draft, but I don't know. Kool-Aid has like
Kool-Aid's an interesting prospect. I even noted, like, I have him going at 30 to the Ravens, and my biggest thing is that he's going to be a project. So, like, he has the upside. I just think some teams are in a position to wait. Some teams aren't. And so I think there's other guys, at least for some teams, that are a better option because they're at least going to be ready to go. I don't know if Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be ready to go.
That's fair. Right at 30, you have the shitty Ravens. I saw a lot of mock drafts going back to a wide receiver for them. This is where I think Troy Franklin, wide receiver off of Oregon, comes off the board. And here's why. So
ahead of a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, though.
Odell was ineffective. Probably a good guy to have on a team, but not someone that you're going to expect results out of all the time. You got little Zay Flowers last year. Now you get someone bigger this year. Troy Franklin is a massive wide receiver. First team all Pac-12. He was tied for third with 14 touchdowns, which was a school record.
Yeah.
He also had the school record for receiving yards, too. He almost had 1,400. He was right under it. And I don't know. I like the Ravens taking this guy because I still think they lack talent at wide receiver.
Agreed. I think, though, Troy Franklin's a little bit of a reach. If they want a big physical wide receiver, maybe even trade out of the first round just for value and take Keon Coleman or Xavier Legette early in the second. Xavier Legette, 6'3", Keon Coleman, 6'4", 40-inch vertical.
Damn.
Like, that's the kind of big wide receiver that the Ravens need. I don't know if they're exactly first-round guys. I kind of wrestled with the idea of Legette going to the Chiefs. Initially, during the recording of my first mock draft, right before I actually recorded it, the Chiefs, I had them taking Keon Coleman, and then I changed my mind and re-recorded it and had them take Xavier Worthy. So, the Chiefs, I don't know what they're going to do. I think they have to go wide receiver, but about the Ravens pick, I like them going wide receiver. I just think that because they're picking at 30, they'd probably be willing to trade out for something else later and an early second from like probably maybe a team like the Giants or the Titans, maybe. would like to pick there instead.
That's I could see that. I don't
Or the
mind that either.
Broncos. Broncos are one that I think could definitely trade for that.
Yeah, they're talking about trading Cortland Sutton away.
Yeah.
Still, they already got rid of Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
So, I've actually seen Steelers fans talking about wanting Cortland Sutton potentially on the team.
It's not bad. He's a touchdown target, so that's for sure.
Yeah, someone to mentor George Pickens too. Someone older.
Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
You know who would be a great mentor for George Pickens?
Don't say Antonio.
All right, I'm not going to say anything. 31, 49ers.
I have them. You're gonna have to pronounce his name for me after I say it. But Tallahassee Fuaga.
Talise Fuaga. I have as the number. I have him number 10 overall. So big discrepancy between us on that one. I also have them going offensive line though with Jordan Morgan out of Arizona.
Okay, yeah. Look, this guy, Trent's only getting older, and the other side of the offensive line could be improved. So I like them taking a tackle here, and I think it'll be this guy. First team All Pac-12 guy as well. He's a threat.
Yeah, obviously he was off the board for me. I went with Jordan Morgan purely because he can play both tackle and guard, and he has experience at both Arizona.
Yeah.
So I think it would be helpful. And I pointed out that Trent Williams can't play forever.
Yeah, I like that as well. So we agreed there on that aspect. And then now we have your Super Bowl champions, 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. I have them taking the edge out of UCLA.
Leatu Latu.
Leatu Lafu, thank you.
Latu.
Latu.
Yes.
Leatu Latu.
Correct.
Troy Polamalu. All right.
That works as well.
Won the Lombardi Award, nation's top O-line, D-line, crazy. Ted Hendricks Award, nation's top defensive end, crazy. Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, first all-team AP. So, and I was talking with Grayson about it pre-recording. This guy could very well go earlier, but as Grayson pointed out, his future, like 5, 6, 7 years down the road, not really it's a very cloudy outlook for this guy.
Yeah.
But in my reasoning here, I think the Chiefs, as much as they love Patrick Mahomes, and I think they love the idea of giving him a weapon, especially after the trouble that Rashee Rice has gotten himself into, and we know that Kadarius Toney can't ball.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are going to get a little bit defensive hungry, especially with the possibility of still getting a dog in the second round at wide receiver. I like the idea of them giving Karlaftis a dog to be across from. And like I said, I think the Chiefs they like that blueprint of the defense that they're building, and I think they continue to do that here. And I know it's a stretch. I know wide receiver is probably more obvious, but if this guy slips to the Chiefs at 32, I'm taking him.
I don't hate that at all. I think if he's on the board, yeah. I don't know if he'll be on the board. If he's on the board, he's got to go in the first round, I think. There's too many teams that could use him. So I like that you have him being taken.
Yeah, but that concludes my mock draft.
Okay. I think it was actually very good. I really liked, I think, honestly, the thing I liked the most was that trade between the Jags and Bills. I loved that.
Yeah.
I had seen rumors of the Bills trading with the Dolphins up to 21. But, I have the Jags taking a wide receiver and taking Rome Odunze right there.
Yeah.
And so, for them to trade up to that spot would be crazy. But I really like that. That's probably my favorite thing that you had in there. But otherwise, I think you did a great job. I think it was a solid draft.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, if you guys want to listen to my mock draft, it's a separate video on the Second Short YouTube account that came out on Wednesday. So definitely go check that out once you're done here. But for now, why don't we go ahead and talk about, I don't know where Luke just went, but we're going to go ahead and talk about baseball. Super excited. This is a fun MLB recap that I've got here. So let's start off with a very interesting thing that came out today. if you're down to get started on the MLB.
Yeah, no, I'm down. Can after you say this, can I just run through my list? I have like 5 things.
You can just start off.
Okay. On Wednesday, Red Sox and Guardians played a game that was an hour and 49 minutes. It was the fastest
Yes.
game since Detroit played Cleveland in 2010.
Which was also an
insane.
hour and 49 minutes.
Again, baseball is just
Yeah.
weird. You can't. There are just stats in baseball that just don't make sense. God, this another name I just can't do. UC Kikuchi.
You say Kikuchi.
Oh, I got his last name right. I saw that he shares a bottle of whiskey after every game, like with his players. It's like a Japanese whiskey.
Nice.
Really cool. Really rare. Too, and it's I think it had like a number in the name that was like something to do with something that was like significant with him. And I don't know. He buys his teammates like a bottle of whiskey after every game.
Very
like
cool.
He wins or something like that. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. The Cubs, I'm not sure if you've heard of this guy, that Shota Imanaga kid.
Definitely.
He is fucking ridiculous for Chicago.
He's
and
great.
I love the fact that he went to Chicago out of anywhere, because I just think that was such a solid pickup for them,
Yeah.
especially with Steele. But this dude, after 3 starts in the MLB, 15.1 innings pitched, no fucking runs given up. His record is he's undefeated, 2-0. 16 strikeouts and only 2 walks given up in 3 starts.
Yeah, he's great.
Been killing it.
Fantastic.
Killing it. Did you see Cedric Mullins' demonic catch on fucking Jackie Robinson Day?
That shit was
Holy
sick. I saw it
shit.
live.
I wish I watched it live.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was cool that like an African American player did that on Jackie Robinson.
That is very
that
cool.
Was badass.
Very cool.
Like wearing the number 42.
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool. Every team in the MLB has scored the most runs at their own ballpark, except the White Sox.
Yeah.
The fucking White Sox. The Reds.
I've actually got some White Sox hate in mind, so we'll get to that later.
Perfect. And then I'm going to end it with a quote from Tyler Glasnow.
Yes. Yes.
I'm a little radar slut.
That's in my notes as well. We'll actually talk about that right now. He had a great appearance overall on the Chris Rose rotation, which I love Chris Rose. He's awesome. Fantastic. Just talking about anything, great commentator. But fantastic interview by Tyler Glasnow. His other appearances have been great on there, but this one takes the cake because he also doubled down on his press conference from when Sticky Stuff got banned, and he ended up getting hurt in his first start after that, and missing like over a year and still dealing with problems from it. So he doubled down on that in saying that like it's causing injuries, that they got rid of it in the middle of the season. So that caused injuries. It caused damage for guys down the road, and kind of other things about that. But then, yes, that moment was hilarious. They were talking about looking at the advanced pitching, like pitch tracking metrics that are shown in the stadiums now. And Chris Rose was like, isn't that a little too much to focus on in a game? And he said, no, I'm a little radar slut anyway, so I look up every time. It's hilarious.
Oh, man.
I love that so much.
I'm so glad he's healthy and pitching well.
Me too. I'm glad he's doing well, because after last year, I had a reason to hate him because I picked him to win the Cy Young for the AL last year. So I started to hate Tyler Glasnow, and I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Was that your last thing? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, then let's talk about the Red Sox. They have 7 players in their lineup today, which is on Thursday. 7 of them making less than $1 million a year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, all of them on rookie contracts or league minimum contracts. The only players over $1 million a year are Ceddanne Rafaela, who's getting paid $1 million a year. And then Reese McGuire, who's getting paid $1.5 million per year. other notable thing about Reese McGuire, he got caught jerking off in his car during spring training a couple years ago in a parking lot.
Let him have a wank.
Yeah,
He needs
just
to.
interesting. But yeah, I thought that's crazy that they're not paying any these are like some of their best players on the team are getting paid like $765K a year, which for a normal guy is crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if they want to swap with me.
Yeah, but for an MLB team that like isn't playing the worst baseball, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that is good.
So, yeah, next thing is also about the Red Sox. Tanner Hook Maddoxed the Guardians yesterday. 9 innings pitched, 3 hits, no walks, 9 Ks, and only 94 pitches. I think we've talked about what a Maddox is, which is a complete game shutout with less than 100 pitches.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting stat that I found on Twitter. These are WRC plus overperformers against ocean-themed teams. Okay. So this is the difference in WRC plus when an opponent is playing against an ocean-themed team, being the Miami Marlins, Tampa Bay Rays, Pittsburgh Pirates, or Seattle Mariners, the 4 ocean-themed teams. And the biggest difference, so it's between the difference between their WRC plus when playing those 4 teams and when playing anybody else. Tommy Edman has a 43 points higher WRC plus when playing against ocean-themed teams in his career.
My God.
And if you wanted to see one that's even higher, Mike Moustakas, who is not an active player at the moment, he's a free agent, would actually lead this list with a 89-point difference.
Jesus Christ.
So,
wow.
Yeah, I guess Mike Moustakas hates ocean-themed teams. Just likes to hit off of them.
More of a freshwater guy, huh?
Yeah, he's a land fella.
Yeah.
For sure. Jack Leiter got the call up by the Rangers, which is awesome. I remember him being a big deal at Vanderbilt. But the bigger news is that his father, Al, and his uncle, Mark, are the first brothers to play in the MLB and also have sons that play in the MLB because Mark Leiter Jr. is also in the MLB.
Huh. Shout out the Lighters.
Yeah, so Jack Leiter's cousin is in the league, and then his dad and uncle were in the league as well. And also Al Leiter, if you've never heard of or never indulged in watching Al Leiter's highlights, he was a fucking dog.
Yeah, I've never heard of him before.
And also all 4 of them were pitchers, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, wow.
Next thing, though, we were talking about Cedric Mullins. I thought you were going to bring this up, but I loved the thing you brought up. But in the bottom of the 9th, in a 2-2 game against the Twins, the Orioles broadcaster pointed out that Cedric Mullins has never hit a walk-off home run. And literally right as he says it, in a 2-2 count, Cedric Mullins does it and hits a walk-off home run, wins it 4-2 in the bottom of the 9th against the Twins. How crazy is that?
He just had a series to remember.
Oh, yeah.
Against
this is a different series because they were playing the Red Sox on Jackie Robinson Day.
They're playing the Twins on Jackie Robinson.
Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking of the Red Sox. Who are the Red Sox playing?
There's too many teams.
I don't know. Because Jackie Robinson Day lined up with Patriot Day, like the Boston Marathon and everything.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Sure.
It's besides the point. The Orioles have now hit 3+ home runs in 5 straight games, which is tied for the second longest streak by any team since 1900. And it's only behind the Orioles in 1987.
And their average age is like 4 years old.
Yeah. Their average age is like my age.
Yeah.
This is just, I just threw this in the notes because it's obnoxious. Why can the Braves sweep the Astros and Diamondbacks, but not sweep the Marlins, can't sweep the White Sox, and can't sweep the Mets?
I don't know, man.
I don't know what the problem is. But yeah, we swept the Astros and we swept the Diamondbacks last week.
The Astros, phew, they're getting beat up on.
Yeah, and then shout out Marcell Ozuna. Let's see. Yeah, well, that's actually my next note. Marcell Ozuna extended his hitting streak to 16 games and for a couple of hours was the sole leader in the MLB for home runs with 8.
The Alpharetta police cannot stop this
No,
guy.
nobody can stop Marcell Ozuna. And also
Yeah,
Ronald Acuna got himself on the board for the year, his first homer. Finally.
He just hit his first homer.
Yeah.
I knew he was having kind of like a bad start.
It's not even that bad of a start.
realize-
He's getting on base. He just wasn't hitting home runs.
Better than Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Aaron Judge has not been that rough. He's been rough.
Well, at least he's not the Twins. The Twins lineup collectively has a 193 batting average. It's the second lowest through 17 games for any American League team in the last 50 years. The only team with a lower batting average through 17 games was the 2003 Tigers, who claim the worst record in AL history at 43 and 119.
Oh my God.
So the Twins, not in a good spot.
Not at all.
The Mariners have a bottom 5 offense in the league right now and are only one game behind first place in the AL West, where the leader is 9-9. Yeah, the Rangers lead that division at 9-9 right now. Crazy. And the Athletics are like a contender.
Mason Miller.
The Athletics rung off 6 straight wins.
Woo!
It's crazy.
They're excited about going to the Sacramento, baby.
Shout out Sacktown. All right, here's the White Sox hate. There's currently 11 position players in the league with a WAR under minus 0.5 or negative 0.5, and 3 of them are White Sox. It is Andrew Benintendi with a -1, and then Andrew Vaughn and Martin Maldonado have a negative 0.6. No other team in the league has more than one position player with a less than negative 0.5 WAR. But also, to make it worse, one of the other players in the league that is under 0.5 WAR or under negative 0.5 WAR is former White Sox first baseman Jose Abreu. So it's just a White Sox thing to suck at baseball. That's what that stat means. So let's go to the Mariners. Yeah. Let's talk about the Mariners real quick. Logan Gilbert is now 30-0 in his career when he gets 3 runs of run support.
Wow.
That is insane.
Only 3 runs.
Yeah, that's all he needs. He doesn't get it all the time. I can assure you of that.
Bottom 5 offense, yeah.
Yeah. But when he does get it, he wins the games. The Padres became only the 3rd team since 2000 to get shut out in a game despite hitting multiple triples. So that was
awesome stat.
Yeah, they did a great job. Let's see. Tyro Estrada made an insane play where he perfectly played a ball off of his pitcher's foot to get Luis Arias out at first base. And then Luis Arias got payback with a play of his own where he made a diving stop and simultaneously tagged second base to get the force out and then got the runner out at first for the double play.
Wow.
It was insane. Last thing, or sorry, I have 2 more things. Another pitcher's getting Tommy John. This time it's Robert Stevenson of the Angels. He'll miss the remainder of the season. Not surprised. Last thing is just good news. It's a fantastic story. So this mom posted on Twitter this post of her kid at the game, the young Twins fan. And she said, arguably one of the worst baseball game experiences of my life last night. Camden was autograph hunting and was lucky enough to get his favorite Twins player, Byron Buxton, to sign his ball. As the ball was being handed back to him by the usher, someone else grabbed it and bolted. He is in instant tears and inconsolable once I made it over to him from our seats. Luckily, some food, ease the pain. But when they got to the parking garage after the game, he began to cry again. And Byron Buxton replied to this tweet and said, "Hope to see you today or meet you at some point. We will make this right. I've got you."
Big guy, Byron Buxton. Man.
And then on the Twins broadcast, the Twins and Byron Buxton gave Camden a signed baseball, a signed bat, a pair of game-used batting gloves, and the Orioles, because the series was at Camden Yards, got him seats behind home plate for the game.
All you got to do is take a baseball from a kid. Good things happen to him. Better things happen to him than what would have happened.
This kid literally got robbed and turned out way better.
That's just that's such a low thing.
Oh my, there is nothing worse than the adult that steals a ball, especially an autographed ball that he handed to him to get signed.
Yeah, that dude's probably going to go sell when that kid would have kept it for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
Have you been to more baseball games than me? Have you ever seen something crazy like that happen?
Yeah, definitely.
Before? Really?
Yeah, when me and Colin were at the game the other day, Austin Riley threw a ball through the the netting gap at the dugout. Yeah. And I just saw some middle-aged man reach over a kid and catch a ball and then just keep it and walk away. This normally happens. Grown men can't control themselves.
No.
And I've seen many old men, not old men, but probably 30 to 40-year-old men stiff arm children to get to the wall to try and get an autograph.
I'm telling you, man, it's those Terrapin, the Bravos Terrapins at a Braves game. They get a couple of those in them, they're moving kids out of the fucking way.
I will say, I didn't actually have one of those. I need to. I don't know why I didn't.
They're okay.
I'm not a big IPA guy, so I don't think I'm gonna really fuck with a Terrapin all that much. I did have a Leinenkugel Summer Shandy. I love those. Those are fantastic.
Ooh, I've never had one of those.
It's great. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's the end of my MLB recap. Let's talk about the games going on this weekend though. Friday, we've got Rangers Braves this weekend. That's a big one, for sure. We'll get Andrew Haney versus Chris Sale in that one. Let's see. Angels Reds is not all that bad. 9-10 versus 9-9. Red Sox Pirates is actually a pretty good series. Rays Yankees is great. Orioles Royals is great. 12-6 versus 12-7. That's a matchup that a couple years ago nobody would have given a fuck about.
The Diamondbacks play the Giants, Montgomery versus
that's
Sale,
a good one.
Snell. Sorry, that's actually Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. Blue Jays Padres is great as well.
Yeah. You got tomorrow Verlander versus Mackenzie Gore. Houston.
That's not bad. Versus Washington.
There, yeah.
Got Eovaldi versus Morton on Saturday.
Yeah. Soroka versus Wheeler. White Sox Phillies.
Oh. Okay. Zach Wheeler, 0-3 right now, despite being one of the best pitchers at the moment.
Yeah.
The Phillies cannot win him a game. Zach Eflin versus Nestor Cortez on Saturday. I like that one a lot.
That's really all I see.
Yeah, not a lot of great ones. Corbin Burns versus Cole Reagans in Orioles Royals on Saturday is fantastic. Luis Castillo's got to figure his shit out. He's playing against the Rockies and Kyle Freeland, who had one of the worst outings I've ever seen the other day. And now his ERA on the season is 13.2.
Yeah. He thinks higher is better than lower.
Maybe he thinks, I was going to say maybe he thinks we're playing golf, but that's the opposite. Nonetheless, why don't we talk about some soccer? We're going to go across the pond as we do and have a little conversation because the Premier League is in a weird spot now. We've been talking about this 3-horse race all the way to the end. And 2 of the horses decided to lose last week.
Don't get me started.
What the fuck? Why did Arsenal and Liverpool decide that they should just lose and let City take the lead? Because we know what City does. City takes the lead right now, and then they just don't lose another game for the rest of the season.
Yep, they clean sheet everybody until the season's over. And
exactly. Like, this was the week you had to win. If you're both of those teams. Like, literally. Arsenal should, like, okay, Arsenal had the toughest matchup for sure. Liverpool losing to Crystal Palace is insane. How do you not? The biggest thing, more than just giving up the goal, is how do you not score once against Crystal Palace? Yeah. That's the crazy part. Crystal Palace has allowed 54 goals this season. Not to you. But yeah, like Villa beating Arsenal kind of makes sense. Like, this is a Villa team that is fourth in the table. That's a big matchup. I get it. But come on. Manchester City was playing Luton. Everybody needed to win. And now they've got 2 points on both of them. Same amount of games played and everything.
Honestly, it's 2 points, but it's not even a race anymore. It's over.
Yeah, it seems that way because Man City just does this. Yeah, we're literally going to talk about this matchup in a couple minutes, but they play Brighton this week. It's probably their biggest test for the remainder of the season.
Oh God, I hate it.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Who they've got to finish out the year? They've got Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Fulham, Spurs, West Ham to finish the season.
Yeah, you're the one like good team you play is Tottenham.
Yeah, and Tottenham got the shit beat out of them by Newcastle.
Yeah.
Which I am a Newcastle fan, but that's not good.
Not for Tottenham.
Yeah, not right now. You don't want to lose to Newcastle. We are sixth, and we have 50 points, but still. And we have a better goal differential than Tottenham, so fuck you. Okay, let's talk about the matches that are going to happen this week, though. And we'll start with... I already forgot. Everton, Nottingham Forest. That's why I forgot about it. I wanted to talk about this one because, like, this is an important match. These two teams right outside of the relegation zone. Everton in 16th, Nottingham Forest in 17th. Everton only a 1 point advantage on them, but Nottingham Forest only 1 point out of relegation. Luton plays Brentford this week, who's another horrendous team in the league. If Luton gets some points here, one of these teams could end up falling in.
Crazy.
So, like, this match is, like, actually a big deal. And, like, I know Everton's had deductions and so what, but you'd think they'd be better all year, honestly.
Yeah.
But they haven't been.
Look at their last game.
Yeah. Yeah, 6-0 to Chelsea. It's the last team I want to give up goals to because I'm not, this is not about you, but the fans of Chelsea can be a little bit obnoxious online. Especially the ones that are aware of how bad they are. The ones that are more aware of how bad they are and are so critical of Chelsea just do a full 180 whenever they win.
They do.
It's crazy.
They sure do. I'm a little bit more hesitant on the full 180, but I mean the 6-0 was fun.
Okay.
It was amazing.
I'm going to actually, no. We're going to talk about Chelsea in a minute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll ask you this question when we get there. Everton versus Nottingham Forest. It is a big time, like, these two teams suck, but somebody has to do something, you'd hope. But like when you look at the stats, Everton 4th in goals conceded, and 19th in goals scored. Like, they don't give up a lot of goals. They only give up 1.5 per match. But they're only scoring 1 per match. They are second worst in the league in goals scored. But Nottingham Forest haven't won an away game in their last 7, haven't kept a clean sheet in 9, and only score 1.3 goals per game, which is only 16th. This has 0-0 draw written all over it.
You're telling me. Everton have only won 2 games since January 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah, been a lot of draws and losses for Everton.
Which I guess for Everton, even if Luton Town wins and they get a draw, Everton will still stay clear of relegation because like Nottingham Forest would drop down if Luton wins, but it's Everton. They need to win some fucking games.
Yeah. I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know many of the players on either of these teams, so I'm gonna go ahead and give a score prediction. I think it actually is gonna be like 0-0, 1-1 draw.
Yeah,
because Nottingham Forest haven't been that great either.
Agreed.
So
they've been actually. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, these are the 2 teams that got financial fair play reductions, and they still suck. They broke the rules to get players, and they still suck. It's crazy.
Yeah. I really do think that Luton does not deserve to be relegated whatsoever.
Agreed. They've really looked good enough to stay. I'd say. All right, let's talk about Arsenal Chelsea. And I'm going to start with the question I was going to ask you, which is why is it that now that Cole Palmer is tied for the lead in goals in the Prem, is everybody trying to shit on him?
Are people trying to?
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, he's a penalty merchant. He's got 9 penalties this season.
Yeah.
And I will say it's not like Erling Haaland Glazers that are coming after Cole Palmer. It's more that people want to show respect to Ollie Watkins, who scored 19 goals and 0 penalties.
Yeah.
That's insane.
If you want to compare it, Ollie Watkins is honestly underrated.
Yeah.
In the Premier League,
yeah,
if you take it that way, but
definitely,
nothing wrong with being good at penalties, though. I mean, look at Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah,
they're both, you could argue, penalty merchants, especially in their career now.
Agreed.
But Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer has taken over Jude Bellingham in some stats, like is among English players this season, as far as like assists and goals.
I will say this: he's definitely played his way, certainly into the Euro squad, if not the starting lineup for Gareth Southgate.
And that's major.
Yeah,
major for him.
Definitely, dude. He was a castaway. He was literally. We talk about this all the time. He could have stayed at City. And his ultimatum was you either stay here or you get sold. You're not getting loaned out. He decided to go and write his own history or whatever we want to say, write his own destiny. Goes to Chelsea, and it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah,
like you can't knock him at all. I don't care how he's scoring the goals. He's doing it for a team that. You look around the board and nobody else is playing up to expectations, and he's decided to keep them in games, give them a chance to win just about every match they've played. Like, you can't knock him at all.
No, and I remember when he got signed, I think you and I were both in the boat of like, okay,
maybe he's good. Maybe he could give an impact. We thought, like I knew who he was because he made it in the squad a couple of times, but it was like, it was never going to be an impact signing in my mind. I thought it was like, okay, maybe he's good down the line. You guys need to add depth. A lot of new signings. You never know who's going to be out, who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. Like maybe he provides depth. I didn't think he would be the starter. I didn't think he'd be the star of this team. That's what he is. It's crazy.
On top of that, man, like the Caicedo,
Cuckoo,
even Nicholas Jackson. All of these guys, I was just sucking the dick of Chelsea, and I was just so excited about all of those players.
Yeah.
And Cole Palmer gets signed, and I'm like, okay, depth. No, probably one of the best players in the Premier League, actually.
Yeah.
So it's been absolutely ridiculous, and I love him more than life itself.
I love that. I didn't think you were going to confess your love to Cole Palmer today, but. You did.
He's the fucking team. He is the team.
No, he definitely is, and it doesn't help that all the rest of the team is injured. We talk about it every time, but Nkuku's back out. Enzo's banged up. Disasi's banged up. Ugachukwo's out again. Levi Colwill is out. Raheem Sterling is sick. He's doubtful for the match this weekend. Reece James is out again. Robert Sanchez is still out. Lavia is still out. Wesley Fofana is still out. Like, there's just a ridiculously long list of players that are hurt for Chelsea.
I forgot about Wesley Fofana. Like, completely
Exactly.
forgot about Wesley Fofana.
Exactly. But, like, Arsenal, the one guy who's still hurt is Jurrien Timber, who we've seen once, and he got hurt in that appearance. He's the only guy hurt, and they still lost to Villa, and it's still... Okay, I don't like to... I love Bukayo Saka. I have to shit on him real quick because somebody pointed this out. They lost, and then in like the 90th, in injury time, he's out there fucking like limping.
Yeah, I don't know.
He likes to do that. He likes to play like shit and limp because guess what? He did it against Bayern too.
Yeah, he's a flop merchant now. Past 2 games, I feel like he's done something to try to get a penalty. That's just been
it's more like he's limping to be like, oh, I'm hurt. This is why we didn't win. This is why I didn't play good. Which is crazy, considering he's like the best player on that team. I love him. When he's great, he's amazing. He's one of the best in the world, probably.
Really?
I think so. At least at his position. I think when he's on, he's one of the best.
That's fair. I don't know if I would say like maybe best on their team though. I think there's other guys they have that are more important.
On Arsenal?
Yeah.
I think when it comes to a attacking standpoint, I don't think so at all.
No, for sure attacking, but like
I
Declan
think impact wise,
way more important.
Yeah. I think Declan and Odegaard impact wise are probably at their best. They're the best on the field. But I think if we're talking about like importance to the team, you're probably talking about Gabriel or William Saliba.
Yeah,
and it's ridiculous that there's 5 players in their starting 11 that can fight for the best on the field. But
right,
because Chelsea, there's not much of a fight. So let's talk about this match because it might not be much of a fight, but there's no telling because Arsenal's really bad right now. And yes, Chelsea did play Everton, but they're coming off of a relatively hot streak. They haven't lost in quite a few matches. Unbeaten in 5 away games as well.
Yeah.
You guys win penalties, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Arsenal, they haven't won in their last 3. Obviously, they have the draw with Bayern in the first leg, 2-2. Then you're going to go and get shut out by Aston Villa. And then you lose to Bayern and get knocked out of the Champions League. So, for Arsenal, it's not looking bad, and it's coming at a really, really inopportune time for them.
Yeah.
The season.
Yeah. I think Chelsea has the chance to pounce on an Arsenal team that is probably exhausted from playing midweek. Against, tough opponent. Like, that 2-2 draw was a strung out game that took a lot. And then they go and they lose to Villa. And then you have to go on the road to Bayern. And of course you lose. Like, it was just written like that. With them losing to Villa and not bouncing back from that draw against Bayern, it was kind of obvious they were going to lose to Bayern midweek. This is an exhausted Arsenal team. They were playing on Sunday, so you get an extra day of rest, but it's not crazy to say that Chelsea could come out here and capitalize on a beat-up Arsenal team, which beat up injury-wise, no, but beat up like they just haven't gotten a chance to stop. Every 3 games, or like 3 days, they're playing a match.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this is Chelsea's best opportunity to attack on one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, because you're right. Chelsea, is in much better form than Arsenal right now. Chelsea are a much younger team. They're not playing these midweek games, so they're already like up fitness wise over Arsenal. I'm gonna take Chelsea in like a tough 2-1 game.
Okay.
Arsenal haven't scored in their last 2. I'm confident in saying that they would only get 1 goal.
Yeah. I'm going to go... Man, it's tough. I'm going to go 2-2. Draw.
Sure.
Both these teams averaging 2 or more goals per game. So I think it's kind of fitting because with how Arsenal's playing, they're more liable to give up goals, and then Chelsea's defense just has not been good this year. So I think 2-2 draw makes sense in this one.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, well, let's talk about the top team in the table. Manchester City taking on Brighton. Look, Brighton certainly playing below expectations, but they have the ability to beat anybody. And you have a Man City team coming off of a bad performance, honestly, against Real Madrid, where you lose in penalties. Obviously, it was great that they got into extra time. You know, you have the equalizer, and then you keep moving forward. You make it to penalties, but Bernardo Silva, man, come on, brutal,
rough. I think one or two things could happen to Brighton here. One, you get a Manchester City team where you're seeing more depth than usual. Still probably going to get the win over Brighton, because Brighton, they haven't won in their last 4 games. It's been 2 draws, 2 losses for them. Or you get a pissed off Manchester City team.
True.
That literally knocks their socks off. I mean, those are the only 2 outcomes I see. I'm leaning more towards resting the team, because they do have a huge game against Chelsea over the weekend, the FA Cup, which I am so excited for, being a Chelsea fan. But I think Manchester City are going to rest a lot of their starters against Brighton here. Like I said, again, because Brighton are on such shaky form. But I still think Manchester City are probably going to win this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that people maybe aren't talking about with Manchester City is that, like, the playmaking just seems so down outside of Kevin De Bruyne. Like, nobody else is really creating chances. It seems like he's doing everything. Like, this guy missed, 3 months of the season? He's 3rd in the Prem in big chances created.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, the guy literally missed 10 games.
It's ridiculous. And it's been weird to watch, because what I've noticed with City, especially in both of the legs against Real Madrid, is, you have guys like Foden and Doku who are on the outside of De Bruyne, who they're kind of your dribblers. They're going to run at defenders, right?
Yeah.
Bernardo Silva, in my opinion, is kind of your other De Bruyne on the team, or at least he should be. But I've seen Bernardo Silva kind of ripping a lot more shots than taking passes recently.
And he's not a good shooter in general.
No, he did score a world against Real Madrid.
That one was crazy.
But you're exactly right. Is he's not really a shooter, and I think it with him kind of taking more shots than taking passes, it's kind of hurt the team's playmaking.
Honestly, I think there's 3 people right now on City that should even be taking shots. Obviously, Erling Haaland. Phil Foden has just been, he just shoots and scores a lot. And then Kevin De Bruyne.
I would give it to Rodri.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Rodri as well. He doesn't really take as many shots, but
but when he does.
Yeah, from 20 yards out, he's lethal.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously Kevin De Bruyne can take shots because he just does it. Like, the guy can 25 yards out, you never know. With Kevin De Bruyne. But I've lost confidence entirely in Jeremy Doku's ability to just be a left wing. I think him and Mykhailo Mudryk are the same player.
Oh,
yeah. I've gotten to that point. I think I'm there. They do the same shit on the field. They run in circles and then they lose the ball. That's it.
See, that's more Antony level, though.
I think maybe they're all 3 there.
You cannot group all the... No, they're... Bro, Doku and Mudryk are at least on a different level than Antony.
Antony is absolutely garbage. But, no, I think both of them are just... Mudryk and Doku can at least advance the ball up the field, with it at their feet, but it just never... nothing ever comes out of it.
I will concede to that. That is fair.
And I think it's just a matter of, they want the ball. So, yes, Antony is maybe a little bit more inconsistent and just bad. But playmaking-wise, none of them do anything.
Yeah.
That's my issue. But nonetheless, I'm not saying that, Guardiola's tactics still work. I think they still look good on field and they play well. it just seems like against top tier teams and against managers that really know what they're doing, like Carlo Ancelotti, they have no chance. I know we're really just talking about this Real Madrid game that we're going to talk about in like 5 minutes, but when we're talking about Man City, it's not a matter of like they're playing bad. It's just a matter of like certain players maybe aren't doing what they need to. Certain players are off form, and I think it kind of throws off the whole machine. Because that's, I think, the best part about City in this treble-winning season last year was that everybody was on at all times. Erling Haaland was always good. Kevin De Bruyne was always good. And the entire supporting cast around them in the midfield and attack were just good enough. Riyad Mahrez could come in and just do his thing. Same goes for Bernardo Silva and across. Jack Grealish had a great season. Phil Foden was good when he came in the games. Like, everybody was on last year, and I don't think they have that luxury this season.
I love that point that you just made, because in the 2 legs versus Real Madrid, I saw a lot of Manchester City not playing as that cohesive machine that has made them the powerhouse that they are. It's a lot of guys trying to be the hero, and look where it got them.
Exactly. It doesn't help that Haaland is just simply on bad form.
He's a League 2 player.
Thanks, Roy.
Yeah, that's not a good Roy Keane accent.
No, it wasn't, but I'll take it. I knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, with this match against Brighton and like kind of everything we just talked about is to say like they're not bad. Man City is not a bad team, but Brighton is a good team and they're on bad form. So, it's hard to say. I just still think that Man City is the better overall team, especially when you consider Brighton's injuries. It's all key players that are out right now for Brighton.
Yeah, I'm going to take Manchester City 2-1 to go ahead and give my score prediction.
Yeah, I'm going to take them 2-0. I really trust the defense in particular. I would love for them to, not keep playing Akanji at center defensive mid, but, Pep does whatever he wants, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
I still think Stones and Rodri make a great pairing at defensive midfielder.
Bro, who would have thought John Stones could be Pirlo?
Who would have thought that John Stones would stay in the lineup at Man City?
Bro, do you remember when they bought him? He was the most expensive defender in the world.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Where did he come from? Villa too?
I thought he came from Everton.
Everton. It was Everton. Yeah.
Did Guardiola bring him in, or was that a different guy?
All right. Well, I gotta know. I don't know.
I mean, we are by laptops.
Yeah, no,
Everything
we definitely are. John Stones has been at Man City since 2016. I think that means Pep brought him in.
Probably.
Actually, they came the same summer, so I would assume yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right. You want to move on to the Champions League? Is that what it sounds like?
Boy, was the Champions League fucking crazy.
Yes, definitely. And like I said in the intro of this episode, I'm questioning my knowledge of ball. I think in all sports, honestly, there's no telling what my mock draft's going to actually turn out to be. In baseball, I thought the Astros were going to win the AL, and they suck. I seem to be wrong about everything. I thought the Mets would be horrendous. They're really not that bad. Yeah, I really thought I'd be wrong about a lot, or I thought I'd be right about a lot more things in baseball. I'm wrong. And then I got all 4 of the predictions wrong in the Champions League last week. So I think I'm having an identity crisis, honestly, might be the case.
I went 1 for 3. I didn't do much better.
Yeah, I know. Our only discrepancy was Man City, Real Madrid. And you got that one right. So props to you.
I really just wanted to get it right. I wanted to be right.
I understand.
You have no idea how happy I am that Manchester City are not in the fucking Champions League anymore.
You know what?
I think that is hilarious.
The only bad part about it is there's no Premier League representative now. And I don't know if that matters in soccer as much as like I think of that like in like college football playoff and like college basketball. It's a big deal if your conference has a representative deep into the playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice to see a Premier League team in there because it's like, okay, well, these are the guys we got to go up against.
Yeah. Exactly.
It makes it's a good way to cope as a fan of a club, but I think I do enough of that. But like, I'm not mad.
We both do.
Yeah, definitely. But like, I'm not mad about the teams that moved on. I'm so surprised by Dortmund. I know we both kind of said like, okay, why don't we actually talk about the games? Dortmund won 4-2 over Atletico Madrid in the second leg, and advanced 5-4 on aggregate. I was so happily surprised by Dortmund's performance because we talked about like home field advantage exists, and it definitely exists for Borussia Dortmund. Like, the Signal Iduna Park is not an easy place to play, but we trusted the defense of Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone. Where was that? 4 fucking goals?
Yeah, and that's the catch-22 with the way that you play under Diego Simeone's system is like once you find yourself down, now you have to tell all these players to break out of that defensive mindset, and they fell short, and that's exactly what happened against Dortmund.
Yeah, but like, I love like the spread of guys that played well in this match. Like, literally everybody except, you could argue Kobel didn't play well because he gave up 2 goals, but like, you have a fantastic game from Maatsen. It's a good sign for you as a Chelsea fan if he ends up coming back.
Oh God, I hope he does.
But he scored a goal. He had a great game as a left back. Fulkrug scored and assisted a goal. Julian Brandt scored, and Marcel Sabitzer had a goal and assisted 2 others.
Ooh.
So, like, they all had great games. But then, if you look at Atletico Madrid, really the only guys that had like pretty good games were Griezmann, Llorente, and Molina in the starting lineup. And outside of them, your only goal came from Angel Correa, I think. And a Mats Hummel's own goal.
Yeah.
Were your 2 goals. So
did not score much.
No. And you made a great point about that's kind of the double-edged sword of playing a super defensive tactic is like, it's so hard to come back once you're down.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you want to even make another argument for like just the personnel, your personnel is mostly defensive.
Yeah.
And so now do you have to rely on subs to try to get back in the game? That's hard to do.
Which is often what Atletico Madrid forces themselves into.
Yeah.
Because they have depth for sure. It's just, if you make that decision in the 70th minute, you only give these guys 20 minutes to make an impact.
Exactly.
That's the problem. Let's talk about Barcelona PSG. This one extremely surprising to me. Like, we thought Barcelona had that locked up last week, honestly, but no, PSG win 4-1 and advance 6-4 on aggregate. We've certainly seen some interesting matchups between these two teams in Champions League history, and I think this just adds right on top of it.
I have a very, very sad realization from this leg. And it worries me about going into the Euros, but Grayson Lewandowski is starting to
so
be
washed. He is
starting to be washed.
It's not good.
Not good for Lewandowski.
I'm trying to think of any good Polish player in the world right now, and Jacob Kiwior might be the only one.
Zalesny, the guy from Napoli.
True. Very good.
He's solid.
Very good.
That's the only one I can think of. But
yeah.
Let's go back to this. Remember that guy Kubarsi, Barcelona?
Yeah.
Man, did he have Mbappe in his pocket in the second leg? Just kidding.
Yeah, didn't quite work.
The teenager showed his age in this one.
Yeah, well, it didn't help that Araujo got red carded.
Left him out there on an island by himself, a teenager.
I don't know what minute, that 29th minute, he got a straight red.
Fucking
so
hell, man.
I'm not going to blame Kubarsi for this one.
No, we shouldn't, but
like, they did bring in Inigo Martinez in the 34th minute and took out João Cancelo. So you kind of ended up shifting to a 3 at the back, but I'm not blaming Kubarsi for playing bad when you're literally a world-class defender on your team, got red carded in the 29th minute.
And you're a teenager going against PSG
Yeah,
in the second
exactly.
Champions League
You're a
quarterfinals.
teenager going against a front 3 that like actually is scary.
Yeah.
Of Kylian Mbappe in the middle with Bradley Barcola and Ousmane Dembele on his sides. Like, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. But I thought an interesting note was after the game, apparently Mbappe was talking mad shit.
Nice.
That like they had to break up a fight in the tunnel
Hell yeah.
after the game.
That's how you know he's going to Real Madrid, bro.
He's got that mindset.
He's getting it started now.
Man.
Yeah, this game was madness. You had goals coming from 2 from Mbappe. He got the brace. One of them a pen, kind of bullshit, but whatever. Dembele scored, Vitinha scored, and Barcola had an assist as well as Achraf Hakimi. And Barcelona only goal scorer Rafinha, who we talked about last week, having such a great game. I was super surprised.
Can't do it all by himself, but if you're PSG, look what happens when Barcola plays instead of Marco Asensio.
Yeah, we talked about that one last week as well.
Yeah.
Randall Kolomuani saw the field for 2 minutes and then injury time.
Shout out. Gonzalo Ramos watched the game on the bench. He was sitting down for this one.
What a surprise. I think he'll be sitting down for a long time until they inevitably loan him out this summer.
I could see him going to like a mid-table Prem team at this point.
I could see him going to a top half Serie A team.
Yeah.
I think that's the PSG pipeline. You go to PSG, you flop, you go to the Serie A. Yeah. I think he's going to be great for like Roma next year.
Yeah.
I think that's the Gonzalo Ramos timeline is like super hyped, replaces Ronaldo in the starting lineup in the World Cup. It gets the big move to PSG and then is pretty good for somebody. Torino.
Torino. I like that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next two the next two matches. Sorry, Bayern Arsenal we already kind of talked about, but Arsenal just a fucking stinker across the board.
Yeah, Harry Kane, the legacy's still on for him. Maybe he'll get a trophy.
They're not getting the Bundesliga because Bayer Leverkusen already won it with like 6 games to go.
Yeah, shout out them, man.
They're insane. Shout out Xabi Alonso.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right?
And how about Kimmich? We were talking about how Kimmich was kind of falling off. He scored the only goal and got them moving on. So
yeah, well, when you're Arsenal and you decide to play Kai Havertz at striker in the Champions League quarterfinal in a 2-2 draw.
Well, how many times do we have to say it? How often do we have to talk about what a bad idea it is to play Kai Havertz up front? Because once again,
2 teams that shafted now.
Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Jesus are on the bench. Either of them can play striker.
Yeah.
And so can Nketiah. All 3 of those guys got subbed into this game. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, you could draw it up to maybe Arsenal's still trying to think of the Premier League too. Trying to save players for that, but fuck that, man. Like, anybody.
You're barely playing Gabriel Jesus in the Prem either.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It makes no sense.
And Jorginho started like, God.
No, it's just
you
bad.
couldn't have fucked yourself more. They deserve to lose, and they probably weren't supposed to. I think you and I both had Arsenal winning. So
we did because they were coming off of so much great momentum. And other than a draw, which is I guess good against Bayern, it's very surprising. But like, dude, if you wanted to rest players, don't play all your starters, but like 2.
Yeah.
It's like you either start the guys or like I should see Emil Smith-Rowe and like Fabio Vieira in the lineup.
Yeah, and not only that, they rested guys in key positions.
Yeah. I think it's insane. Let's talk about the final one though. Man City Real Madrid was crazy. Goes to penalties. the guys that missed their penalties in this are Luka Modric for Real Madrid, who literally, if Bernardo Silva, who came up next, would have just made his, totally different how this all goes.
Mm-hmm.
How does Bernardo Silva step up second and miss after a miss by one of the best in the world?
I have no idea.
And then Jude comes up, promptly scores his. Mateo Kovacic misses, which subbing out Kevin De Bruyne for Mateo Kovacic in the 112th minute might be a decision that Pep Guardiola regrets for the rest of his life.
I'm telling you, dude, these midweek Champions League games, they do something to managers, man. They just don't know what to do sometimes.
Yeah, like Carlo Ancelotti got to the point where he ran a 4-4-2 in a game.
Yeah.
That's just proof that he's losing it. And like Fede Valverde was the right mid in this formation.
Yeah, which I mean, to be fair, he has the pace and the work rate.
He's amazing at it. For sure. But yeah, this is so weird. And like for Man City to make 2 subs in the 112th minute and for one of those subs to miss his penalty is insane.
Tough,
but then Lucas Vazquez hits his, Phil Foden, Nacho, Ederson, crazy enough, takes the 4th pen. Fifth pen. Sorry. The 5th penalty for Man City is Ederson with the players that they have on the field. And then Antonio Rudiger.
I only have one word for that. Brazilian.
Yeah, that's fair.
Only reason he was able to do that.
Yeah. And then Antonio Rudiger hits his to win, and they move on to the semifinal. It's crazy. And like De Bruyne scoring the equalizing goal as well, and you still take him out of the game right before penalties is crazy. Like, I don't care if he's tired. He's better than Mateo Kovacic if he's tired.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Insane.
Super frustrating. Even subbing out Haaland in a 1-1 Champions League game for Julian
in the 91st. But then again, like Haaland, I don't know if he's got that high enough battery to go out and play 120 minutes and then play penalties.
That is true.
I don't know if, I think that could be in question.
I wanted to give us some flowers here. After the first leg, you and I were wondering why they started Tchouaméni at center back. Well, here we have Nacho, who we wanted, and you end up conceding less goals.
Exactly. I overall, like I kind of poked fun at a 4-4-2 for Carlo Ancelotti just because it's literally the default formation in FIFA for a reason. But it's actually really good. I like this lineup for them a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Of course you can upgrade it in places, and of course, you're giving Eder Militao a break. He's just coming back into the lineup from injury, I think. So, he came in the 100. Yeah, in the 110th he came into the game, but he's great. I'd like to ask you this now because we haven't really talked about it. What the fuck was the point of them getting Kepa? Because he's healthy. And they've been starting Luna in the Champions League the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know, because Kepa probably would have been Chelsea's goalie all season long.
Yeah, and probably would have helped out quite a bit.
Big time. Major big time. I know Lunin, this is back when I would play FIFA 18. He's been in the ranks of Real Madrid for a very, very long time.
Definitely.
And with Courtois getting hurt, he has been nothing but wonderful for Real Madrid. He is a cracked Ukrainian goalie. I love him. Yeah,
no, he's been great. And I'd like to ask you about another player they're not playing, Arda Güler, whatever, the Turkish kid that they signed in the summer. He's being Martin Odegaarded. That's what's happening.
Yeah, he's being Martin Odegaarded. I was thinking the same thing.
They're gonna send him on loan in a year. To probably a fellow Spanish team, maybe even Real Sociedad. And he's going to emerge as a good player because that's what he is. He has potential, and they're just not playing him, despite the fact that, this is their chance to rest players. Obviously, now you're in the semifinal, so you can't, but he just really hasn't seen the field at all. I think
Not at all.
This might have been about a different player, but I think he's only played like 11 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, like he's just simply not getting on the field.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know.
you know, look, if he's not playing well in training, don't put him on the field. I understand that, but I think it's hard to believe because he's a hyped up young guy. Like he's what, 16, 17?
What did he come from? Fenerbahce
He's
or Galatasaray?
19. I think it was Fenerbahce. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's actually pronounced Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce.
Yeah. That's why it has like the weird letter. It doesn't matter.
The thing under the C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think that's it for the Champions League. Obviously, we'll.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll go ahead and say this because I said obviously we'll preview it. We're probably not going to talk about this during the draft special next week. I think there'll be enough things to talk about.
You never know. It could be time filler in between picks.
It could. So maybe we'll talk about the semifinal preview. Maybe we won't, and we'll come back with a recap the next week. But whatever. All right. Yeah, I think it's questions time. You know, we've actually made good time. Look at us, man. Now, I say that, and there's always the possibility that we spend 30 minutes doing questions time, and we're right back in the same 2 hours and 15 that we like to hit. But
it'll be over a question that's like, what's your favorite season?
You know what? There's some questions for a couple of minute potential, and there's one in particular. It's the second to last question on the list, but we'll start here. 10 minutes on the clock. How many hot dogs and buns can you eat?
Oh, probably 3.
In 10 minutes? If you're really
not
trying.
a big hot dog guy.
Let's say you're racing somebody.
In 10 minutes, I could. I think 5.
Damn,
6 would
bro.
be pushing it.
I think I could do like a dog every minute and a half. If I'm competitively eating, I need somebody else there racing me.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Are you using water?
I don't necessarily have to, but it would help.
Yeah.
It would definitely help. Because the bun is so dry and it's so hard to get down unless you soak it in water.
Would you take time to put condiments on your hot dog
to
make it taste better, to make you eat faster? No?
No, that wouldn't make me eat faster. If it tasted better, I don't think that would change anything. Yeah, and I'm thinking of this from the mindset of competitive eating.
Okay.
Rather than just sit down and somebody unknowingly puts a 10-minute timer on how many hot dogs am I eating. But if I'm really racing, I think I could do 8, 7.
Yeah.
What are your current favorite players for Cy Young because everybody's getting hurt?
Yeah, probably Tyler Glasnow, Shota Imanaga.
Yeah, I like Imanaga now. I think Tarek Skubal, still sticking with. He's been fantastic.
Yeah.
In the National League, it's tough, man. I love Imanaga. I think that's a fantastic one. There's been a number of guys in the National League that have been pretty good. I'm blanking on some names, but if you give me one moment so I can at least look at some names. Reynaldo Lopez. Reynaldo Lopez has been crazy good. He's given up 1 run in 18 innings, I think, which is fantastic. Corbin Burns is the AL, but yeah, he's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Trying to think of National League guys. I think Blake Snell will get back on the right track. I think people are taking it way too hard on Snell, and I know I've been the guy who all offseason was like, Blake Snell's not going to have a good year. I think people are taking it a little too hard. The guy didn't play spring training. So, he wasn't even on a team for spring training. So it's kind of hard to blame him for not playing amazing.
Fuck it, Ronel Blanco.
Yeah, he's definitely off to a great start. Yeah, I think that's really all I've got. Jordan Montgomery's making his first start of the year, which could be interesting for the Diamondbacks against Blake Snell. Both players that waited way too long to get a team. So yeah, it's so tough. But yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. What do we think about the Araujo red card? Was it really a last man red card? I didn't
Hang
see
on,
it.
I didn't see it either.
So
Literally watching a video on it right now. 49 seconds.
okay. Oh, I found the same one, I think, from Nexus Football.
Oh yeah, definitely red card.
Okay.
100% no doubt red card.
I'm
in my
watching a
opinion.
DAZN ad, and then I'll have input that I can't skip. Come on.
Yeah, Araujo's definitely claiming that he's not the last guy, but he definitely fouled the fuck out of
Yeah. Oh, but was it in the box?
yes. I think so.
Like the ball was far ahead of him. I don't know if it was in the box.
It's kind of hard to tell actually.
Or at least it wasn't initiated in the box.
I don't have like a TV like broadcast camera angle. I have like a fan view, and
Yeah,
it looks like
same.
he definitely throws his forearm like towards the head, like neck area, which is also kind of red card.
Okay, so
as well.
From the view I'm seeing, where I paused it at 4 seconds in this video, Araujo's already got his arm like up against his neck, pushing him.
Yeah.
And they're like a couple yards out of the box. I think maybe it's a free kick. Unless they're saying that part wasn't the foul until they fell down, in which they hit the ground in the penalty area.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's a rule in soccer that if it's like
I think it's up to the ref's discretion.
It might be.
It is.
It might be.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, but
to know.
It would. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards red card just because of where he made contact with them and what body part. I mean, it's forearm to the neck. That's not good. It's not a good challenge.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a red card because I do think he's the last guy.
Yeah, definitely the last guy.
Like,
for sure.
I'm already Kubarsi was not gonna make it there to help. At all. And even if he tried to commit to it, he had an easy pass back because Kubarsi had to mark his own guy. So
yeah.
No, I think it's definitely a red card. I don't know if it was a penalty. I think it might have been a free kick for outside of the box.
That we can debate that one. For sure.
What sport do you think a good coach makes the most difference in? I already have an answer.
Wow. I think out of all professional sports, I'd probably go basketball.
Yeah, okay. So if we're talking professional, it's basketball. If we can include college, it's college football.
Yeah.
Me and Brock had this conversation quite a few times, and we both definitely agreed on it. It wasn't much of like an argument to be had. We both agreed that in college, good coaches make good players. In the pros, good players make good coaches. As in, like, they're creating a good coach. So, like, I don't want to say this entirely is the case, but Brady made Belichick a good coach. Or the Patriots teams he had made him a good coach. Nick Saban made Alabama a good program, and he made those players good players. Because there's a number of guys that played at Alabama that didn't even do well in the pros or probably shouldn't have, or like, yes, they ended up having great careers. They were going to do that anyways.
Yeah.
But like there was some guys where like Saban made them better, or they weren't even good when they got to the NFL and they were only good at Alabama.
Yeah. And especially in college football, you know, when you're recruiting players as well, the players aren't saying, oh, I want to go play with this guy. No, they want to go play with that coach because the teammates that are already there are going to graduate.
100% agree.
So I like that take.
But I do agree. Basketball, and I think when it comes to professional sports, it's just that there's the least amount of guys on the court. So like it's hard for the coach to be the game changer in the NFL because there's 52 guys on the roster and there's, you know, a rotation of like 30 guys, maybe more, coming on and off the field just on offense and defense, plus the special teams. So I think it's hard for the coach to be the biggest part of that. Whereas like the coach, I think the coach's impact is the biggest in football because they're literally calling the plays. Whereas in the NBA, yes, there is plays, and like just in basketball in general, there is plays, but I think players' performance is the biggest factor over a coach in the NBA.
Yeah.
In the MLB, I think it's purely up to players. The only tactical part of a manager's job is looking at matchups, whether that be how they make the lineup, who they take out of pitching, who they put into pitch, things like that, which is all tactical.
Yelling at umpires.
Yeah, yelling at umpires, arguing, stuff of that sort. I think that was a very good discussion. I think soccer, they have a big impact tactically, but once again, the best coaches in soccer, a lot of times you don't have to talk about the players' performances.
And give me an example.
Pep Guardiola's tactics play themselves.
That's a good point.
And the same goes for like an Ancelotti team, like we just talked about. He could put out what looks like a boring formation, but the way it's utilized tactically could be game-changing. Nobody thought Jude Bellingham was going to play striker for Real Madrid, and he's played striker in like every game.
Yeah.
So it's up to how they make it play, I think.
Yep.
And so I think managers in soccer have a big impact, but you can't, they can't control who's taking the shots, where the ball's going to fall, all that kind of stuff.
Like an NBA coach can.
Yeah.
Yeah, like getting players to certain spots, passing the ball here, he shoots.
Yeah, like you can tell a player, like, okay, this is kind of your area to cover in a soccer match. Like, okay, you should be bouncing, these spots. This is where you should be on offense. This is where you should be on defense. But you can't be like, hey, Jeremy Doku, like, you need to be up here. You get the ball, you come in here, you pass to this guy because he's going to be open because of this. Like, you can't draw that up in soccer. You can draw it up in basketball. You can be like, okay, look, LeBron, you're going to bounce off this screen, fake to the basket, come back out to the three, take the shot.
Yeah.
You can say that. So yeah. I think it's a little bit different. So yeah, I think basketball, a good coach makes the most difference in. But maybe not as much a good coach makes the most difference, more that just the coach has the most impact in basketball.
Yes.
I think maybe for this question in particular, if a good coach makes the most difference, I think maybe soccer is where a good coach is much better than a bad or an average coach.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Some
would argue against that because a lot of people don't think Mikel Arteta is a very good coach. Okay, this is the question that I said maybe just makes this a super long portion of the episode. What cut and color of socks do you prefer? This is the kind of thing we spend way too much time on. I have a definitive answer for myself as well.
Me too. White no-show Van socks. I wear more of those than anything else.
Okay.
If I wear a crew length sock, it's either Nike, Vans, or Adidas, and I always bunch it.
Okay, yeah. So I bunch crew length socks mainly because my calves are too big. If I pulled those things all the way up, I'd look ridiculous. And the only crew socks I even own probably are 2 pairs of Carhartt crew socks. They're just white. And they just have like the little embroidered Carhartt logo on them. Otherwise, I'm either black or white. Doesn't really matter. I try to match it with my shoes. If I'm wearing white shoes, you wear white socks. But I wear like the no-shows, but not like the Vans ones. Like a no-show that's just like cut right below the ankle.
Yeah, see, the Vans no-show is like a little ballerina slipper. There's no sock, basically.
You're a little bitch, is what.
What do you mean? A little bitch? No, man, I like how my ankles look in my sneakers.
Fair enough. I like how the edge of my sock looks, I guess. Because almost all of my shoes, you can see the edge of my sock. Especially because I wear Ultra Boosts that have a low-cut ankle.
Yeah.
But, like, if you would have asked me this question in middle school, crew length Nike socks every day.
Nike Elites, baby. Give me the breast cancer ones. I'm
Nah,
rocking.
fake Nike Elites were the move. They just had the lines up the back, but no swoosh.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was what I was rocking for a little bit, and then it was white Nike socks. Actually, first it was black Nike Crew socks. Then it was fake Elites because I wanted Elites, but they're $14 a pair. And then
Okay.
and then it was white Crew socks with the Nike swoosh, of course, because that's the thing. And tell me if I'm wrong. If it doesn't have the Nike swoosh or a logo on it, it looks weird.
Yeah.
If you're just wearing
Every
white
time.
Crew socks with nothing on them.
Yeah.
They've
It's all
gotta
that
have
capitalism programming.
Yeah, it is, maybe. I don't know.
Brainwashed.
I can't wear a shirt without a logo. This shirt doesn't look like it has a logo, but it does. It's just very hard to see.
Yeah.
But like there's something about it where like if I was I wouldn't have bought this shirt if I didn't know there was a logo on it. But like you
Really?
can't see this. Like it's not that the mic's in the way. You literally can't see the logo. It's right here.
So I have a versed pocket shirt that obviously doesn't have a logo on it, and it actually even feels weird to wear it for that
That's
reason.
what I'm saying.
I never thought about that.
But like
until-
I have a pretty like lightweight Carhartt pocket tee that has the smallest Carhartt logo on the pocket, and it feels right. It just does. I don't know what it is. I think you're right. I think it's capitalism's the problem. All right, last one. Probably more of a question for me. But why can't the Hawks and Falcons be like the Braves? Easy answer. Ownership. Decision making.
Oh.
General managers.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, quarterbacks definitely a problem for the Hawks and the Falcons. I think Trae Young's the problem for the Hawks. Can we have this discussion? Actually,
Yeah.
he is. He just is. They went
It's
on
a
like
hard
they
pill to
went on like a
swallow.
14-2 run last night against the Bulls, while Trae Young was off the floor, and we lost by like 30 points. He doesn't play any defense, and he's the least efficient shooter I can find. It's crazy.
I don't know. Have you seen me?
Okay,
Pretty
well,
bad shooter.
I'm talking about in the NBA, but yeah, no, I think Trae Young has to go if the Hawks want to win. I think everybody around him is great, and the craziest part about it is that for like 3 years we've been building around Trae Young. Nothing. It's only gotten worse since we beat the Sixers
literally.
and went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I don't know what's going on. And what's crazy is going back to the shooting efficiency thing. Jonte Murray, who we signed as like a defensive point guard,
awesome.
as his help for
He's
Trae
amazing.
Young, is a better shooter than Trae is.
He's a better player. He is. I don't care what anybody wants to say about Trae Young. And I don't watch a ton of basketball. But I can't stand looking at the box score and just being like, dude, why'd you take 30 shots and only make like 10?
Yeah.
Like he'll
breaks my
have
heart,
30.
man.
Like he'll have like, 25, 30 points. But it's like, bro, you took 30 shots. Everybody else has 5 points.
Yeah, and what hurts me is like I thought it was so cool that the Hawks had like their own superstar.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he's been built around. Like,
But
of course,
it's
they're building the team
every
around him
fucking
because
year.
he's the superstar.
Every fucking year. Yes, he's a superstar. Every fucking year, he's the last all-star.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, he's an all-star, perennial all-star. I don't think he's a superstar, though.
Yeah.
And I will never forgive the Hawks for trading Luka Doncic. Oh, my God. That's one that will live in infamy in my brain.
We're not big European people in Atlanta.
Clint Capella's been on our team forever. He's Swiss.
Oh, that's another guy, man. Fucking hate Clint Capella.
I can't stand him. Dude, he used to be so good for the Rockets. He was good for
with
20
Harden?
boards a night.
Yeah. Dog.
This is why I don't
It's
talk
the-
basketball on this because I can't be bothered to pay attention to it anymore.
It's our home team is a joke.
Yeah, of a franchise.
Yeah.
We haven't won anything since Bob Pettit was on our team.
They're going.
And
to
we were the
Magic
St.
City too
Louis
much.
Blackhawks.
Yeah, not in Atlanta.
No.
God.
The best thing that has happened to
the Hawks from going to Magic City.
Facts. The best thing that has happened to the Atlanta Hawks in recent times is just getting a new stadium.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only good thing that's happened. And they're certainly not putting it to good use.
Nope.
A lot of good concerts there. Comedy shows, everything. It's a fantastic venue. But
would you? All right, I got a question for you. This is gonna be crazy.
Bring us a hockey team.
Would you give up the Hawks? Well, I was actually just about to say that. Yeah. Would you give up the Hawks to a different city to bring back a hockey team in Atlanta?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because the Hawks mean something to the city of Atlanta.
They do. Yeah. That's
the thing. Like, they're not leaving. They just need to figure some shit out, or we're gonna just keep being a bad team or like a fringe team.
I want to get into the NBA so bad and become a Hawks fan, but since I haven't cared about the NBA for years, and I start out the season and I'm actually paying attention to what the record is, but it gets to not even midway, and I'm like, we're fucked already. Like, I don't care. I care more about the Steelers and the Yankees than I do the Hawks, so I'm not going to keep up with them.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that somebody pointed this out to me. They didn't point it out to me. They just pointed it out on social media. But it seems as though an era has ended in the NBA. Like the Warriors just got knocked out in the play-in game. Like Klay Thompson's done. He is done.
He needs to give it up, unfortunately.
I don't know if he needs to give it up, but he's definitely leaving this summer.
Yeah.
Like the Warriors dynasty seems to be over. LeBron is kind of phasing out a little bit. No more Dame in Portland, keeping them as a contender. The top players in the league are guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards and guys amongst that rank where it's like, these are just not the guys I remember in the league. And of course, I fucking love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's awesome. And I love Anthony Edwards because he went to Georgia. He's a great player. Yeah. But it's not the stars that I had. So it feels kind of weird.
It is weird, yeah. I agree.
So I do think there's an era ending in the NBA, which has kind of hurt my ability to be a fan of it. Just because it's not the same guys.
You're right. Since we're talking about the Hawks, why don't you point to that jersey behind you?
Oh, Dominique Wilkins? Yeah. You can't actually see it on camera or on screen. Luke can see it. But yeah, that Dominique Wilkins jersey is authentic. Don't get it twisted. And I got it for $40.
Mitchell and Ness?
Yeah, I bought it used online. $40. But I got it for $40 because the front of it, the seams were messed up. And my mom just sewed it, and it looks perfect.
That's a sick jersey.
That was it. Yeah, it's great. I love it. But yeah, that was the final question of Questions Time. That was a fantastic conversation we just had there about the Hawks. That was your NBA until somebody wins the championship, and we can bring that up for 5 seconds. Yeah, I think that's about it for us, man. Obviously, you know exactly what I'm about to say. Draft special next week. Come on. Second and Short, second annual draft night special. It is on April 25th on Thursday, 8 p.m. We're doing it live on YouTube. Our first live stream, by the way. It's going to be a blast. Oh, yeah. I think we're going to have a lot of fun watching the draft, not watching the ESPN ticker. We're all going to be able to be on our phones and check things and looking at social media, looking at all that stuff. So we'll have all that. We'll have trade updates. I'm definitely, I'm going to have those notifications for Rappaport and Chef D and all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping track of everything. So it's going to be
CTESPN.
Yeah, CTESPN. Sure. I'm going to know the whole draft 2 days in advance.
Yeah. So. Antonio Brown figured it out. Everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, of course, do that. And then if you haven't, go and watch my updated mock draft video on the Second Short YouTube as well. That's already out. So make sure you check that out. And that
was a great video, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I tried to pick up the pace on that one. I think it turned out good. I didn't kind of ramble about anybody was kind of what I was focused on.
I like the edits. Like when you'd say the player would pop up, so
Yeah.
I knew who you were talking about. It was cool.
Yeah. I probably should have put names now that I'm thinking about it.
They know who they are.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. But nonetheless, yeah, this was a fantastic episode. You know the deal. You subscribe, you like, you comment, you turn on post notifications on YouTube, and also make sure you have those notifications on because you never know. We might just be putting out a YouTube video on Wednesday, like I did this past week with the mock draft. You never know what could happen. So that keeps you up to date with everything on the. Shit, what the fuck just happened to my mic? That keeps you up to date with everything on the YouTube. And then, of course, if you're listening on the podcast platform, first of all, you better get over to YouTube pretty fast because you want to subscribe, you want to turn on notifications, and you want to watch my mock draft that went up yesterday. But you also need to rate 5 stars and follow before you leave the podcast platform. And then follow us on all of our social media accounts. They're all right here at the bottom. And if you want your questions featured on Questions Time, join the Reddit r/2ndand short and get those questions submitted by 4 p.m. on Thursdays to get it featured. If you put in any questions next week, we'll definitely talk about them live on the broadcast. So get those in by 8 p.m. And feel free, if you're watching along, hit it in the comments. Hit us with some questions. Hit us with, whatever. Try and break some news. Fuck it. Break some news to us from the comments. Whatever it must be, please do. We're definitely going to be watching the comments. Nathan will be updating us. He'll have a mic. Everybody's got a mic, so we'll be good to go on that. So, yeah, with that being said, that's going to do it for us, guys. And definitely looking forward to, obviously, Monday's episode is going to be fun. Still haven't secured Mike. Trying to get him to come on and break down me and you, break down our mock drafts. If I can't get Mike, then me and Colin will pre-record something on Saturday where he'll break down our mock drafts, but trying to get Mike for that Monday episode. Nonetheless, we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you at the draft special. Peace.